Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about cost of living index, cost of living do's and don'ts of Rice Military. If that's what you're here for, stick around. We're going to be getting after it right now. This is
Drew Mims.
And I'm Kerry Fletcher. Together we're
Kerry.
Little bit funny, but easy way to, and cheesy, any way to remember it. If you're new to this channel or if you've never heard of it, this is all about living, sleeping, eating, drinking, the lifestyle of living here in Houston, Texas. If that's what you want, hit that
subscribe button.
Ring that little
bell.
And that way you'll be notified every time we put out a new video. And we're putting out new videos, what, twice a week. Twice a week. And we can't wait to hear from you. And look, whenever you're ready to move here to Houston, you can give us a call, send us a text message, send us an email, or even
Pony Express.
We don't care. Whichever way you want to reach out to us, we've got your back when moving here to Houston, Texas. So let's get to it, right? Cost of living. Everybody talks about how affordable Houston is, right?
It is.
And so we'll break down the cost of living index for that Houston area. But then when you get into, start doing a deeper dive, there's some big variability when it comes to affordability within the Houston area. Now, some of these different neighborhoods. Now, you're going to want to stick around to the end because some of the most important factors we're going to be covering last, the things that you absolutely have to know. So let's get to it. Overall, Houston, how does it compare to the national average?
I think it's pretty affordable, pretty good.
It's pretty affordable, and we come in overall a 96.5 out of 100. So the national average is right there at 100, and Houston comes in at a 96.5. Now, why?
Did you get that? Do you want to say it one more time?
96.5. I'm going to say it one more time. 96.5.
All right.
So that's pretty amazing. Houston is the 4th largest metropolitan area in the United States, and most people anticipate that it'll overcome Chicago within the foreseeable future as it continues to grow.
Especially right now.
Yeah, especially right now. So you're talking about the 4th, soon to be the 3rd largest metropolitan area having that kind of affordability. HPE just announced they're moving into town as well. What drives that overall affordability? What's the most important one, or the biggest factor that drives the affordability for Houston overall?
Housing.
Housing comes in at 80.2 compared to the national average of 100. But as you know, as I know, Houston is, what's the number one you think of when you think of Houston? It's big.
Oh, it's very big.
We've got...
You can drive for 2 hours and still be in Houston.
Easy. I mean, Houston makes up everything from Sugar Land, NASA, all the way up to the Woodlands area. Everything from Baytown to the east to Katy.
It's massive.
And Fulshire in the west. So it's huge.
There's literally something here for everybody.
And because we're not landlocked, there's no land restriction, housing is super affordable, especially in comparison to Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. The other parts of Texas, very, very affordable. Now, that doesn't, so that land, or that affordability for land within Houston isn't necessarily the case when you talk about Rice Military, right?
So some of the advantages of living in Houston in general, or one of the biggest advantages that I see, is that there's no state income tax. Wow. We have a huge influx of people right now moving in from heavily taxed states such as California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and Colorado. And so to me, that's one of the biggest advantages, right, of living in Houston, is we have no state income tax. And our cost of living is pretty good. So if you're coming from a major city out of one of those states, and you are used to walkability and you want to live affordably, but still have the ability to walk to restaurants and bars and have large parks nearby and have that outdoor lifestyle readily, easily available, then Rice Military is a great option for you in the city of Houston. And we're going to talk about the affordability
All right, so
or cost of living.
all right, so let's get into one of my favorites is utilities. So Houston is known for its oil, gas, natural gas. How does the utility stack up when it compares to the rest of the United States?
Well, pretty good. It's going to be affordable.
Yeah, so it's about a 96.5 when it comes to utilities. Now, back in, and you and I argue over which the date was. I think you corrected me, said it was 2002 when Texas went through deregulation of electricity markets. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay, so because of that, you've got a plethora of different choices, and people are always trying to change up or muddy the waters. Some people offer you free nights and weekends. Some people offer you 1 day a month free. Some people offer these different, all these different choices.
Real easy way to pick your electricity choice, and that's to go to powertochoose.org, and you can literally go look at all of your options. If you want to have a long-term contract or month-to-month, variable rates, if you want all of your energy to come from renewable sources, you can pick which sources. If you're getting, solar, wind, whatever. So
we're going to put that link down in the description, so that way you can just go in and take a look at some of those different options. Now, you were telling me a story about one of your clients the other day when you talk about short-term, long-term contracts. So you can get better affordability, right? Getting a long-term contract, but what's one of the downsides that you had one of your clients to get out of the contract?
If you're going to stay in the state of Texas, right? So a lot of them have cancellation policies, and with some of them have large fees. So the company that we're with has like a $20 cancellation fee, but a lot of them will charge you, $150 on up to break or a lot more to break the contract. So just another one of those little hidden fees to watch out for.
So just so you guys know, we haven't started drinking yet, so we haven't really gotten our flow and our energy down. So you're gonna have to just work with us on this.
You're saying we need liquid courage?
Yes, I think we would be much better off with a glass of wine or a little something to help us.
Oh boy.
All right. So utilities. Let's talk about healthcare. That's what a lot of people are like, whoa. It's a big, huge part of discretionary spending. How does the cost of healthcare here in Texas compare to the rest of the United States?
Well, it's a 92.4%, so it's extremely affordable, and you have access to some of the best doctors in the world here in Houston.
And what drives that?
Well, we have the medical center.
Huge, the medical center. So it is the largest medical center in the world, not just in the United States, in the world. So you've got people flying in from all over the world to come here and get specialized treatment. Now, because of that, because of these economies of scale, you also get the benefit of the research, the development, the competition, if you will, because you've got Methodist competing with Baylor, competing with Memorial Hermann,
St. Luke's,
Texas
Children's,
Texas Women's, HCA.
Jinx.
So yeah, jinx. So you've got a lot of competition, and in Texas, and not Texas, but Houston, and particularly Rice, you're coming in at like a 92.4 affordability. Now, just compare that to, and that's compared to the national average. So that's really, really well.
Well, and it's a really, really quick drive to the medical center from Rice Military. So
yeah.
it's convenient.
We were just doing a video not too long ago about the pros and cons, and it's super convenient to not only go there for treatment, but it's super convenient to work there as well.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, so transportation. So Houston comes in at a 119, and it's the same thing for Rice as far as Rice Military for transportation. So you've got super low gasoline costs, you've got super low diesel costs, but the things that are driving that higher than the national average is not about the cost of the fuel, but it's driven by, you were mentioning
insurance.
Yeah.
We have a lot more cars on the road, so you tend to have more accidents, and so insurance rates are pretty high here.
And you also have a lot more traffic. So Texas A&M just published a study, it was a couple of weeks ago we saw it,
yeah.
And it was like something 7 out of the top 10 or 7 out of the top 12 most congested roadways here in the state of Texas are all right here within Houston and that Houston inner loop.
Welcome to Houston.
Welcome to Houston. And we also have a lot of, which help with the congestion, but also make it less affordable. We have a lot of toll roads.
I will say this though, Rice Military is a very easily accessible neighborhood, and you can get to so many places super easy, and access to the freeway, and you can jump on Allen Parkway and hop over to 45. You can get on I-10. You know, you're close to 610, so it's very convenient.
From a transportation cost, when you're looking at Houston versus Rice Military is going to be a lot more affordable than, say, if you lived out in Fulshire, Katy, and had
to everything
and had to commute in,
right,
or the Woodlands area and commute in. Okay, so we covered transportation, we covered utilities, healthcare. Let's talk about groceries. So groceries overall here in Houston, and particularly in Rice Military, what do you think we're coming in at?
I mean, affordable, but pretty average. I don't think, you know, rents are high, so land values are high. So, you know, I have found that shopping in town inside the loop versus shopping in the same big box stores outside the loop or out in the distant, or, you know, suburbs that are outer lying, it's definitely more expensive. So you're going to pay a premium for convenience.
So grocery costs come in at a 98.2. So right around the national average. You've got ease of, you know, fuel, ease of transportation cost. You do have some higher rent, so there's some offset. But not only grocery, let's just lump in there the cost of eating out and restaurants. If you're going to live in Rice Military, it is so super convenient. You've got that Washington Avenue corridor, which is sort of the highlight of this area, with restaurants like El Tiempo.
It could be kind of dangerous living in Rice Military because conceivably you would never have to cook.
Yeah, you could eat. We actually have friends that legitimately never have to cook, and they've got great, wonderful cuisine every night. Hey, so we're standing here outside of El Tiempo Cantina. So this is one of my wife and I's favorite restaurants, and it's right in the core of what you would consider this Rice Military corridor. So Washington Street, right? So Washington Avenue is absolutely known throughout the city of Houston as being the place for restaurants, bars, cool places to hang out. And we're right here at El Tiempo, one of my wife and I's favorite spots. So if you're looking at one of the pros of living here in Rice Military, this is it. Easy access, walkable distance to some of the best restaurants and bars in the area. So good news is at least the groceries are affordable. And we wanted to cover the new HEB that came in there. That what did they call it?
So HEB, for those of you who don't live in Houston, is a fabulous grocery store. And
it's the premier. It's ranked #1 grocery store chain across the U.S. year in and year out. But go ahead. But there was a new one that just came in right there in Rice Military.
Within the last year and a half, 2 years, right there at the corner of Washington and Heights
Wall.
No, it's either Wall or Heights Boulevard. Wall.
It's Wall. Right there, Wall. Okay.
Wall and Heights Boulevard sort of
parallel.
Come together there. So
okay.
That's why the confusion.
No worries. So let's get to the most important one, right? The one that everybody's like, really, if you're going to compare, where do my dollars stretch? And that is housing. So let's talk about the housing. Let's talk about big picture Houston. How does it compare? And then let's do a contrast into Rice Military, because I think that's what everybody really wants to know about it.
Okay.
So what is the affordability index for Houston overall in comparison to the national average when it comes to housing?
Roughly 80%.
80%. So 80 cents on the dollar is going to get you housing. Now, that does not include, we talked about, earlier, we talked about no state income tax. That does not include the tax rate on it. That's just the affordability of the housing, right? Now, how does that compare to, let's say, Rice Military?
I think Rice Military is going to be higher for sure.
For sure. It comes in at a overall cost of living index of 178 when it comes to housing. So basically $1.78 for above the national average of $1 when it comes to housing. So the median housing cost is $411,000. Okay,
which is still very affordable for the inner loop inside of Houston.
Right. And so I did a little bit of analysis, and the average, so that number comes from a much larger database, and it takes into account townhomes and condominiums and everything else, apartments. If you just look at the single family home price, the median single family home price for Rice Military is $471,000 with a median home price of $205.30 a square foot. And if you compare that to, say, the neighborhood that's just north of it, the Heights, just across I-10, the single family home price median is about $644,000 at $348.50 a square foot. So it's one of those. It's more expensive than when you look at the broader Houston market, but it's still very affordable given some of the other qualities of convenience and drivability. And
so key points about Rice Military, it's very affordable. It's a very affordable neighborhood inside the loop, like one of probably the most affordable, nice neighborhoods to live in with inside the loop. It's fun. It's a fun place to live. There, literally, we like to think of it as vertical living. Just a few highlights here because the lots tend to be smaller. So you're going to be in either a single family or attached townhome style of house that are typically going to be on average 3 stories. And
you were telling me some quirky things about it too.
There's some cool, funky, like the beer can house.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's a house made out of beer cans. Look it up. It's pretty interesting. The art car museum is just right there in the middle of Rice Military.
Oh my gosh.
So every year we have an art car parade, which is so much fun, and it's a competition, and really it's a whole weekend of events, and we'll probably do a video on that.
Oh gosh, yeah, we have to.
Come down it's a springtime event, and if we can ever get out of this
quarantine
COVID thing, then hopefully we'll have another art car parade this year. But there's lots of fun little quirky art galleries, so lots of little things to do. Get outdoors, great access to parks, hike and bike trails, the bayou. You can even go kayak on the bayou.
We did another video about the pros and cons, and it really just talked about how great the access to all the city parks and outdoor activities are.
And it's just, all of this at a very affordable price. So, anything else you want to add?
Hey, just if we have sold you on Rice Military, if you're ready to go, or anywhere here in Houston, just pick up a phone.
Questions.
Hey, if you have any questions, leave the comments down in the comment section. If you have a different area that you want to see, if you want to provide us any feedback,
let us know.
And whenever you are ready to move here, give us a phone call, send us a text message, send us an email, or send us a note via Pony Express. We don't care. Whichever way you want to reach out to us, we've got your back when moving here to Houston, Texas.